It is 5 o'clock and I am going to start folding up some shirts. So I have some smalls and some medium youth sizes. I'm just going to start folding them up. They've been soaked in soda ash. I'm going to start on turning them inside out and then folding them from this left corner I'm just doing little fan folds going out along it. Probably going to do about 7 of them before I start tying them or dyeing them. So there we go. There is one that's folded up. Now I'll put some rubber bands on it. It doesn't really matter which rubber band. If one rubber band is smaller, then I will just put on more than one rubber band. If one rubber band is bigger, then I can put on less rubber bands. There's that. I'll put one more on here, and this should get me all the way to the edge of this piece. So there is one down. Now I'll do 6 more before I start dyeing them. And these shirts have been soaked in a soda ash solution. They are just barely damp. And for the soda ash solution, I use about 1 cup of soda ash or sodium carbonate to 1 gallon of water. And then I turn the shirts inside out. Just so then when I'm washing them out and one color, if one color gets onto another color, it's on the inside of the shirt. So you don't really see it as much unless you wear your shirt inside out, which I do know a few people that do that. And I'm just doing little fan folds or accordion folds up the shirt along this edge that I created when I folded it in half from the corner to the bottom corner to the about the top of the sleeve or the shoulder along the seam. another one folded up. Now I'll put some rubber bands around it. I'm pretty sure that I will be breaking some rubber bands today, not on purpose, but it happens. There we go, there's number 2. That rubber band is already broken. Here is one more small youth. Fold it in half along the edge, and I'm just kind of arbitrarily designating where I'm folding it in half. It doesn't have to be at the, actually I don't make it right at the bottom corner of the shirt. I bring it up just a little bit, maybe an inch or so. And then I'm just doing little fan folds or pleats, accordion folds up along that edge that I made as I folded it in half. It doesn't have to be completely straight and even with this, but it makes the dyeing a little bit easier, and the design isn't any worse if I don't keep it straight along that line, but it makes it a little bit easier. I'm just trying to make them as even as I can, going out that way and out this way. There we go. Now I will get some rubber bands out and rubber band it up. There is one section banded. There we go. Now, one more rubber band should do it for this piece. Oops. Oh, there's the first rubber band that broke. So let's try and put another rubber band on. Can I do this, or is it going to break? Oh no. Alright. There is number 3. See if I can bring these down a little bit. That may be too much. But here is our 4th shirt to fold up. Once again, I'm turning it inside out. I'm going to turn it over. trying to get all the seams and the edges even, and then I'm going to go from the shoulder and then about an inch or so up from the bottom corner of the shirt. I fold it in half, and now I'm just going to start fan folding up this line, this edge of the shirt. I'm making as even as I can little pleats. They're about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And I try a little bit to focus just on this edge, and then I'll come along and just finish it off, or finish it along that line. And if they're not even, it's okay, but the more even they are, kind of the better that it looks. Oh shit. And I'm not on, there we go. Okay, so let me Alright, now that I've made my video public, let me just keep on folding. That's hilarious. Oh well, I guess that kind of stuff happens. But I'm just folding up along this shirt, and I'm doing little fan folds or accordion folds. And then I forgot that when I was testing the whole live stream thing, I had it on unlisted. So that took me about 10 minutes to figure out that my video wasn't necessarily live. But now that I got it figured out, now I'm just taking some rubber bands and rubber banding up along this section. Oh, maybe rubber banding up if it doesn't break on me. So there is this one partly rubber banded. I'm trying to get as much of the shirt bound together with rubber bands as I can. That little tail on the end of this one is good enough. It's not going to really get out on me, so I have 4 shirts folded up. I forgot to set my video to public. I had it on private for a little bit, for about 10 minutes. But I have this shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. I just turned it inside out, and I am just straightening up all the seams and edges so they're flat. And then I'm going to fold the shirt in half from this corner out to about an inch from the bottom of this corner. So that's folded in half, and now I'm going to do a set of fan folds going up along this edge. I'm trying to make them as even as I can, but if they're not even, it doesn't make that big of a deal. But the more even, it'll just make the dyeing a little bit easier. And I'm just kind of folding up this section next to the edge first, and then I'll just kind of continue on along that fan fold for each fan fold as I'm progressing through this. So I'm not worried about the whole fan fold all at once, but I'll do each fan fold one at a time. I won't do part of one fan fold and move on to another fan fold and come back to a previous fan fold. Hey Otto, how goes it? I didn't have my video set to public for the first 10 minutes of this. Which, you know, that's one of those troubleshooting things that you deal with when you start off on this stuff. I'm sure I'll have it dialed in if I continue this stuff. But now that it's all fan folded, I'm going to just start rubber banding it. Yeah, right. You know, 5-ish. It's Roslyn time, so I got it all set up. I was kind of tired. I almost fell asleep at about 4:30, so that probably wouldn't have made things any better if I had done that. But hopefully you can kind of see everything okay. The reflection of the light on the table hopefully isn't too bad. There's rubber band. I'll put one more rubber band on here, the one that's not broken. I can get these two rubber bands apart from each other. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to go with a bigger rubber band on this. I'm just trying to make sure that the shirt is all bound up when I get done with it and I'm ready to move on to the next one. If there's one piece that kind of gets out of the fold, then I can't guarantee what the results will be like when I dye it, but there is our 5th one, and it's time to fold up one more. Or fold up another one. So this shirt has been soaked in a soda ash solution. It's a little bit damp. I folded it inside out. I find that when I'm washing them, if they're inside out and like the blue sits on top of the yellow, I only get the blue on the inside of the shirt. It doesn't go all the way through the fabric. But it's folded inside out. I folded it from the corner of the shoulder and then about an inch up from the corner of the opposite bottom corner, and I'm doing a set of fan folds or accordion folds from the bottom up. I guess I could do one or try a couple where I'm starting from the shoulder. I just normally I do it on from the other section, and yeah, normally I will do this part of the fan fold and then I'll just even out the rest of the fan fold after I get this section done. On the smaller pieces, it's not as obvious, but when you get into larger shirts, you can't, or I can't do a full fan fold that's this wide at one time. I have to kind of go back through it and fan fold different sections of the same fan fold. So there is this piece folded up. Now I'm going to put some rubber bands around it. And this one kind of seems like it may break on me, but let's just see how it goes. Alright, now I'll put a couple more rubber bands on it. There's one rubber band, and I'll put one more rubber band on this center section. Alright, that looks good to me. Where are we at? 2, 4, 6. Let's do one more shirts. So this shirt has been soaked in a soda ash solution and it is a little damp. After they're soaked in the soda ash, I will spin them out in a washing machine and then I'll throw them in the dryer for 10 to 25 minutes, and I'll leave them on a low heat setting in the dryer a little bit, and then I will turn off the heat altogether and just kind of check them every so often until I feel the dampness of them is okay. And I took this shirt and I from the corner of the shoulder down to about an inch above the opposite bottom corner and folded it in half, and then I'm doing a set of fan folds or accordion folds going up the shirt, or up that edge that I just made. And I don't have to fan fold the whole section all at once. I find that you can get separation of the underlying layers of fabric if you try and do too wide of a fan fold, and it can kind of get out of control on you a little bit if you do that, if you're not too careful with it. So I like to just kind of do a little pinch and then go out along that. It seems like I can kind of keep the height fairly consistent when I'm doing it that way. And on the bigger shirts, it's a little more obvious of what I'm talking about. With little designs, it's hard to kind of see it, but this looks pretty good to me. Now I'm gonna take a couple rubber bands and I will start binding up these folds. Yeah, the soda ash is used for the chemical reaction for the dye to bond to the fiber of the material that you're dyeing. So this is cotton, and the soda ash helps the dye form a covalent bond with the cotton. And it's been a while since I've taken chemistry, but apparently that's one of the stronger chemical bonds that you can make, is a covalent bond. And if you don't have the soda ash, the dye will still react to the fiber, but it won't be nearly as strong or intense of colors. So on that note, I have 7 of these done. I have about 28 shirts that I'm going to be dyeing in total for this order. I make a couple extra shirts just in case some of them don't dye right, or I'm doing some screen printing on them, so if I mess up one of the screen prints, I have a backup shirt. So I'm going to start dyeing these. It seems like with 28 shirts, if I do 7 of them at a time, that's 4 dyeing scenarios that I'm doing, or sessions. And I have some gloves, some nitrile gloves that I use when I'm dyeing, and I have the rainbow colors in front of me. I don't know how to do this, so it's not too much of a mess, but I have my little dyeing tray. I'm going to be throwing a towel underneath it so the table doesn't get too messy, and then I'll have some plastic bags and a plastic tray that I'll be putting everything in when I'm done. So let's dye it. Hopefully there's a little bit of a lag for me to see what I'm doing on the screen, but I think that this should be in there evenly. And I have some the rainbow colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple down in front of me, or next to me. I'm going to start with red, and I'm just going to go along this edge. I'm going to be putting red down along right here. And I have a bunch of rags with me as well, so I can kind of clean off my hands if I need to adjust the shirt at all. Here is some orange. I'm going to be leaving yellow for the last of it, and I may not do the yellow until after I've flipped over the shirt and done the other side. So after yellow comes green, and I'll try and mix up each bottle right before I put the dye down. I'm going to try and put more green on this side of the green than this side of the green. If I put a lot of dye down without another color next to it, it's easy for that dye to migrate over. So here is the green going down. I have some blue. And one of the reasons why I haven't dyed a whole lot is normally the tying, or why I haven't dyed a whole lot on camera like this is normally I dye over a sink in a different area than where I tie at. So if I get a lot of dye onto the table, then I'm gonna have to clean that off, and it's just more of a mess than I really want to have to deal with. So there's the blue. Now I have some purple, and this is raspberry. I'll put some raspberry just right next to the blue. And then I will just do these colors again, and once again I'm going to leave the yellow until the end. So here's some red. Oops, dropped it a little bit. There's some red down, and as the piece kind of gets narrower towards the end of it, I'm not having to use as much dye. Then here's orange. I'm just putting a little bit of orange down. I'm trying to put the orange down just right next to the red. I'm omitting the yellow for this section, and I'll put the yellow down at the end. So green is after yellow. Now some blue. And then purple. And then I'll just kind of continue this on. I'm not sure if I'm going to get too much more than just red and orange on this section, or if I even want to try and get some yellow down on this bottom corner. There is my orange. Now I will flip it over. And I will put the colors down again on this side. So I'll start off with some red. And since I had so much, I had 2 extra colors and I just wanted 2 rounds of the rainbow on this design. I'll put a little more red down width-wise on this design. And now I'm moving on to the orange. That looks good. Now some green. I'll just kind of put the green right in between the blue and the green. Like right where those two meet is directly where I'm placing the dye down. Now some blue. And it's okay if it's not too straight. It's tie-dye. It'll work. Now some raspberry. And I'll start over again with some red.